Hey guys, this time around I have something a little bit different to show you. My regular viewers probably know that I collect vintage TVs, and specifically black and white TVs from the late 40s. But I do occasionally dabble outside that time frame. For example, the Predictas of the late 50s, a GE coaxial set from the late 50s, and most recently an Admiral portable set that works with a sonic remote control from around 1960-61. Well, this is another noteworthy TV. I've seen these from time to time, some in my areas. In fact, there's one on Craigslist right now. However, it's something like $375. And typically on eBay they sell for a few hundred, or they're in lousy condition. Well, I just happened to get up early a few days ago and checked on eBay. I have some alerts set up for like vintage Philco TVs, and this guy popped up with a buy it now of only $80, plus 15 for shipping from the West Coast, and it looked to be in great condition. The only problem seemed to be that part of the one side of the handle broke loose, but otherwise everything seemed to be there. This has a leatherette outer coating, and they're often in bad shape. Or the plastic visor's missing, or some knobs are missing, or the battery cover's missing. This has got it all. They said they could turn it on and flip through the channels and get static, but they didn't show the screen lit up. That's my only concern about this. Well, that, and of course, did it survive shipping? And so far, yeah, it seems like it did. All the plastic to unwrap. Alright, so here it is, and I do not see any damage at all from shipping, which is fantastic. Let's hope the insides are in good condition. Now, this is the only issue with it at all, and I already knew this from the eBay listing, that one side of the handle has broken off. Looks like there's a screw on the inside, so I might be lucky and I just have to tighten down that screw from the other side. Otherwise, excellent condition. It's got all the knobs, lettering is still very bold, and this coating is leather. Genuine top grain rawhide. All the stitching is pretty sound. It's in good shape. It's not cracked or fraying really. Yeah, a little bit of wear and tear here and there, but that's to be expected. This lettering's in good shape. Brass could maybe use a little cleaning up. It's a channel knob. A little faint here. It says Safari. So I should explain what this is. This is the Philco Safari from, I think, 1960, 61. So Philco's doing a lot of experimenting in the late 50s between the tandem sets, or I should say the Predicta sets, and then this, which is the world's first all-transistor TV, and with an asterisk next to that, because, of course, it has a cathode ray tube, the picture tube. But there are also two tiny high voltage rectifier tubes. They just didn't have solid state high voltage diodes back then. But all the rest is all transistors, specifically germanium PNP transistors. So this was battery powered, or could be battery powered. Also, you could run it off of AC. And it was portable and carry it by this handle. You might be wondering, where's the screen? I mean, how is this a TV? Well, screen is in here. So it's kind of a throwback to the old mirror and lid sets. It's a 2-inch CRT that runs vertically in here and somehow reflects up into this area here. This is the first time I've ever had a chance to really see one of these in detail up close. I only ever saw one other in person, and that was a Radius Swap Fest. I just briefly glanced at it. So I'm not entirely sure how all all this mechanism in here works. So that will be fun to explore. Alright, so let's take a look at the schematic briefly. We got it out here. So you can see it's transistors, which is something you don't often see me talk about much, or at all. And they're PNP, so you see it's all negative voltages in here. And there's a battery, 7.5 volt battery. So that would power up all the transistors. They had a few taps on there. Get some dropping resistors in there to generate various bias voltages throughout the set. And there is the 2EP4 CRT. As far as I know, this is the only device that ever used that CRT. I imagine replacements are impossible to find. I don't recall ever seeing one for sale. It's an odd looking thing, so I think it would stick in my mind if I ever came across one. I've also heard that they are pretty reliable, because this thing ran on pretty low power, so I think they had a long life. And to be honest, I don't think these sets ever saw a whole lot of use. Just like more recently the Casio little LCD, I think it was the world's first like pocket TV. You know, they sold a lot of them, or the Sony Watchman. There's tons of them on eBay. Most of them are in great condition because nobody used them because the screens were so small. Well, same with this. I mean, that is a dinky little viewing area in there, so I'm sure a lot of people got these as a novelty. In their advertisement, people take them on picnics and they watch the ball game or whatever. But I mean, come on, who would want to sit and watch this for hours every day? So keep my fingers crossed about that. So there's the one tube, and here are the two others. So it forms a voltage doubler. This thing runs on around 6,000. Well, I think it's a little bit less than that, maybe like 4,000 volts. I guess I don't actually specify it on here, but I recall seeing that in the data sheet. They did include power cord. I don't know, floating on here somewhere. It's not the original, though, I don't think. So what I want to do is study this a bit more, figure out how to open it up, take a quick look inside, test the CRT, and if everything looks sound, try to power it up. This is a bit more modern, and low voltage and all that, so I'm not worried about like big filter caps crapping out or anything. I think it's not unheard of for these sets to work to some extent on all the original components. Fortunately, that service info includes instructions on how to disassemble a cabinet. The first step is to remove all the knobs. They came off fairly easily. Except this one. This one you leave on. That's actually a timer. It goes 0 to 4. That estimates how much battery life you have left. This thing only uses 7 watts of power, so pretty decent battery life for something of this vintage. Alright, then you remove the legs from the bottom. There's 4 screws come out, and then supposedly you can slide the bottom off, so let's give that a try. There we go. I'll open something. Hung up on that screw that fell out. I think I will be able to just tighten this screw down to reattach this handle. That will be excellent if that's the case. Alright, that is out. This thing's actually pretty heavy for a transistor set, considering the battery's missing. A nice white powder on my hands. From the chassis. It's probably some type I think it might be aluminum, so it might just be aluminum oxide. So, let's see, reattaching this. I need to get myself a shorter screwdriver. That just fit. Yeah, that's all I had to do. Cool. It's pretty clean inside this cabinet. Just a slight corrosion down where the battery was. Actually, looks like something kind of ate away at some of the inner cardboard lining down in there. Oh well. Let's see on the side there. Looks like there's a transistor identifier. Now I looked at this schematic a little bit more closely. I looked at some of these transistors. Some of them are generic numbers like 2N224, but about half of them are Philco numbers, which could be tricky to replace if needed. Hopefully I won't need to. Alright, so here's the chassis. So not much to see up front. Speaker. Must be okay. You can see the yoke poking through there. And disassembly instructions so that you can take this cover off. One to screw front, two on the back. This is a mode switch to switch between battery power, AC power, and charge. So this must have a built-in charging capability. Of course, the battery's not here. It would have slid into this compartment here. Pretty beefy battery. I found some photos online of what the original battery would have looked like. I imagine I could get some type of NiCad or lithium-ion pack. Wow, yeah. It is nasty. I think that's aluminum. Feels like aluminum, so that's probably just aluminum oxide. So there should be a little dinky power transformer in here. That's gotta be it right there. Just a single secondary full wave rectifier, 2 diodes, and generates about 7.5 volts. And there's some nifty looking transistors in here. So here's a nice gold plated one in here. And then there's a big guy up there by that transformer. It's probably the horizontal output or vertical output. This guy right here. Really early type of power transistor. IF transformers. And there are a bunch of electrolytics. A lot of them are non-polarized. You can see one here. That's what that black box is. So that's what all these are too. 3 of them here. So a lot of these vertically mounted black cylinders in here. Those are all electrolytic capacitors. And even if this does work okay, this should really be replaced at some point. Alright, so I want to give a whack at testing the CRT, but that's going to be a little bit trickier than I realized because the base is right down about here, and I don't see any way to get at it. That's a little more reading on that. In general, though, I can already tell this is going to be a little bit tricky to service. Getting these boards out won't be so straightforward. You certainly can't work on them with these in place. Maybe just the components on the edge, but otherwise this whole thing's going to definitely have to come apart. Now I know if I take this cover off and remove the optical assembly, I can slide the CRT out, but I really don't want to take that out. I just want to see if I can test it. And if it's going to be more trouble than it seems worth to testing it, I'm not even going to bother testing it. I'll just try powering this up. Yeah, if I get a raster, hey, I know the CRT is good. If I take these off or something too. I don't know if you're in AC mode, if there's any power going to these battery leads, but best to be safe there and just cap those off. I disconnected the antenna and then I removed some screws, and I was able to take the top plastic housing off. So let's see, better look at the optics. I think what this is like a partially silvered mirror. So the CRT is a little thing down inside there, and it shines up onto this, and then you view it looking in this way. Alright, a few more screws and I can take this optical assembly off, and then now we can get a closer look at that CRT. I examined the chassis more closely, and this is steel, so that powdery substance was likely cadmium oxide. So I took some spray 9 and some paper towels and wiped it down good. So that stuff is toxic. I'll be sure to wash my hands after I'm done with this. So that is off. So there's the CRT shines up through into that. Be very careful not to damage this. Don't get it dirty. Alright, so there's the CRT. Either that's dirty or it's seen a lot of use, because you can see there's a brownish rectangle on it. So this is a projection CRT, just like say in that Scott's 6T11 set I've got. So this is a very, very bright CRT. So that probably is somewhat burned phosphor. That means it doesn't have a lot of life left, but it just shows it's had some use. So still not any closer to being able to test the CRT, but this thing looks awfully clean, so I'm inclined to bring this over onto the workbench and hook it up to a PR57 and try a little power up. First though, let's give this a little clean. Yeah, it's not coming off. Oh well. One of the reasons I'm not as concerned as I might normally be about powering this up is that I know that the seller did already. So here's the cord they supply with it. I'm sure it's not the original, but it certainly fits. And, if all goes well, you guys should be blinded by this CRT, which should be very bright. Plugging this into the PR57 and turning it on. Moment. Check these controls. We'll just kind of put them in the middle of all their positions. Leave this. That's range. I think it's for the tuner. Alright, this is power and volume. That's what I wanted to find. Alright, so here goes. Power's on. Oh wait, I wanted to tape off those battery terminals. This. Okay, PR57 on. Dial it down to maybe 115. Current mode, and this draws still a little current. I don't expect to see much. Actually, the needle didn't even move. This does have a fuse. Now it not being tube, there's really nothing to look at to see if anything's glowing. I undid a few screws and was able to slide out the battery bracket, which exposed down into the guts of this thing. And now I can see CRT base down there. So if I can carefully pop off a little socket there and get my clip leads on, I can check the CRT. And there, incredibly inconveniently placed, is the fuse. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's down. That's not on frame there. Down there. It's that black plastic cylinder, and there's a label. Only replaced with the same type slow blow fuse, 0.6 of an amp. And I can see the two rectifiers. It's gold type rectifiers. Get a better shot of the board now too, or one of the boards. Look at our nifty blue silk screening on it. Little parts label. And I can also say there's more caps in here. Definitely some paper caps. And a big old electrolytic down in there. It's got to be the main filter cap on the power supply. So, I really do need to just dig into this thing and recap it at some point. Right now, what I want to do is check that fuse for continuity. There. Oh wait, no, okay, we do have continuity. What I should really do is get out the schematic and figure out where the main power supply bus is, and make sure that I actually have. I think it's -7.5 volts coming through. See that CRT? I'm going to try powering this up again and see if I can see that CRT glow. There we go. Ooh. I think I went into that AC power connected before. Or I think this doesn't. It's not quite the quite right for this. Oh yeah, heck, oh yeah. We check this out. I'm sure you can see a little bit of that on camera. Turn that off for a moment. Flip this back up. This thing's instant on basically. Obviously, the transistor don't have warm up time. The CRT might take a little while to come online, but no, it does not. Check that out. Is it cool or what? Get some static on there too. So, you know. Oh, if I hook up an antenna. Maybe I actually. Pick something up. The brightness. Brightness turned up all the way. It's kind of painful to look at. So no need to get out the CR70, that's for sure. Alright, I have an antenna rigged up. Let's give this another try. See if I can pick up local low power channel 6. 2, 3, 4. That must be it.
Did a great job covering the leaders in Cleveland. Kind of landed a national job.
Very dirty volume control.
It's going to be the same thing. And I think if you're the Brown, it's foolish because
contrast, I think. That's range.
That comes along with it. I think that's part of the reason
brightness.
that people didn't want to deal with it. You know,
Yeah, horizontal hold. Got to put it almost at one extreme to get a lot.
Vertical. That's part of it. I think it's kind of silly to think that all of a sudden people are going to stop asking for access to this guy.
Now, word is that Manziel was texting some of the Brown coaches, oh, pick me, I'm ready to go. I mean, if you heard that, that sounds a little desperate.
A little bit. I find it kind of amusing. I said, where he could start week 1 and be
I hooked up
that Tennessee Titans offense. So.
an over-the-air converter box. It's not hooked up very well though, because this uses an RCA connector. And I've just got the crude setup. Couple it. Okay. Well, for a second I was on. Look, the tuner's dirty. Oh, success. It's freaky to watch. It's a small, bright image. Alright, so I think what I'll do next is put this thing all back together and fire it up again, see how it looks in the visor. I reinstalled the visor, and I've got my signal clipped to it because there is no provision for an external RF source, so that's really the only way to do it. Try turning this on again. Here we go. Yeah, nothing. Probably flaky AC cord again. Okay, I got the AC cord straightened out. So, there's a little CRT you can see. That's not the way you watch it. What you look at is this. So, it's interesting. Interesting way to watch TV. I'm not quite sure how these optics work, but it's definitely magnifying it. And the farther away you get, the larger it looks, which is an interesting effect. In other words, if you get up close to it, the screen's only filling a fraction of the visor, but if you back off a foot or two, so here I think we get an idea about how the screen's smaller the closer you get. Back off. Starts to fill up the whole screen.
Joe Silver as Harvey Metz.
As I'm putting the set back together and doing a little bit of detailing, I'm using some Simchrome on the knob brights. Came out very nice. And a little kiwi leather lotion on the cabinet. Still a few spots here and there, but better than it was, and this will help condition the leather as well. And good old Novus number 2 plastic polish on the hood. And I should mention about this thing down here, the battery timer. This doesn't actually do anything. There's no spring or anything behind this. It's just a knob. There's absolutely nothing on the other side of it. It's up to you, as you're playing the set, to know when it's fully charged, and as you watch the set, you reach over and turn this down as a reminder when it needs to get recharged, or how much battery life you have left. Now, as for this hood, one, I'm glad I've got it, 'cause it seems that a lot of guys are missing them because they are easily lost, because there's really nothing much that holds them in. I did get a tip online after I posted some photos as to how this is supposed to work and why mine is so loose. What I'm missing are some spring-loaded dowels. So imagine there were some springs down at the bottom here, compression springs, and some dowels like so, up to about that level. Those would rub against these curved tracks here. You can see the marks on them, and just that little bit of friction is what will keep this up. So I don't think I got any springs handy, but I'm going to take this soft wood and cut it off to length such that there's a little bit of friction. I think that'll, at least for a while, keep that visor held up. And finally, here it is all back together with those little bits of wood holding the visor up.
I'll take the lunch. Yeah, I appreciate it if you fix it up for us. We'll be there tomorrow. All right, thank you. All set.
So it works. It's not the greatest performance, but it is working. And I do intend to go through and recap it someday.
Come and look me up as soon as you get back, Frank. We'll cooperate. That's great, but bigger.
So it's definitely worth taking a gamble on eBay. I'm very, very happy that this set is playing and the picture tube has some life left. Well, I hope you enjoyed this look at a Philco Safari, the world's first all-transistor sort of TV from 1960.
What does it take to convince you?
For God's sake, Phil, isn't there someone?
No way. You're gonna suffer. You're Phil. I'm gonna keep calling you, following you. I'm gonna watch you sweat until that moves the end out a little bit.
Phil, please.
You're dead, Phil. The beautiful part is, there's nothing you can do. Nothing.